There are 4 things of which you need to be aware in order to maximize your Social Security payouts in retirement. Coming up. Welcome back. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steven Spicer, and it's my goal to help you be as prepared as possible for whatever your future may hold. And one of the foundational elements for every United States citizen's long-term financial plan is the promise of a Social Security payment. The government or taxpayer-funded annuity/pension. You've been told your entire life just how important Social Security is. In our extremely polarizing times, simply mentioning cutting Social Security benefits is considered more or less a political death sentence. But here's the thing. Even though we'll spend our entire careers paying into the Social Security program, very few of us know how to actually maximize our payments when the time comes to collect. It's more than just knowing what age and all that. Most just think of Social Security as a set it and forget it system. But those who treat it that way often end up with less money than they otherwise could have received. And believe it or not, the government is entirely okay with that. It's up to you to navigate all this. And if you're going to pay into Social Security for 30 to 35 years, it makes sense that you'd want to get as much back as possible once you actually retire. But as tempting as it is to just leave things up to Uncle Sam, you're tired at that point after all anyway, there are several proactive decisions you can make that will help maximize the payout you receive over your lifetime. But to actually understand those things you can do to maximize your Social Security payout, you'll need to first understand the mechanisms behind how Social Security even works. And again, we all pay into this, but very few of us know how it works, or more importantly, why it works the way that it does. So if you bear with me for a few minutes, I promise the tips I provide you with later on will make a lot more sense. You probably already know that Social Security is funded via payroll taxes. If you look at your paycheck, you'll notice the acronym FICA, F-I-C-A. This stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. This is the federal law behind that payroll tax, and it applies to both employees and employers. FICA covers both Social Security and Medicare, with the idea being that you and your employer will both help fund your retirement, with the government serving as the arbiter. For 2024, Social Security taxes represent a 6.2% deduction from your income up to $168,600. Your employer then matches this figure, whatever it may be, for every pay period. And once your earnings exceed that amount for a given year, you no longer pay into the Social Security portion of FICA taxes on any income above that limit. So that's a big part of how Social Security is currently being funded. But how much of that are you entitled? Well, the formula the Social Security Administration uses is not secret, even if it is a bit complicated. First, you need to figure out how much you would receive at what they call full retirement age, or FRA. I should warn you, there are more than a few acronyms here, but they're worth noting since you might see them around on statements and other government resources as you're trying to make heads or tails of all this. Anyway, FRA is between 66 and 67 years old, depending on the year you were born. The amount you would receive here is called the primary insurance amount, or PIA. Your PIA is a function of your average indexed monthly earnings, or AIME. Did I promise you acronyms or what? What can I say? Man of my word. Anyway, your AIME is your average monthly earnings adjusted for inflation from your 35 highest earning years after the age of 21 up to that Social Security wage base of, in 2024, $168,600. Then, here's how the AIME and the PIA are different. The SSA, the Social Security Administration, splits your AIME into 3 segments. They call them bend points. I'll use those interchangeably, as I think the term segments is a bit clearer. Okay, now picture this jar, this vase, with 3 segments. The amount of water is your AIME, your average monthly earnings. We'll pour that in a second. For all the water in the bottom segment here, 90%, everything below this line, 90% of that counts towards your PIA. That first line of demarcation in 2024 is $1,174. All the water that starts to fill the next segment here, though, only contributes 32% to your PIA. Again, that's the monthly amount you're promised at full retirement age. That top line of demarcation here, at that point, in 2024, is $7,078. And by the way, these numbers are adjusted yearly, but you get the idea at least of how this works, even if you're watching this after 2024. Now, all the earnings above this top line, in this top segment here, number 3, only contribute 15% to your total PIA. So for example, a 62-year-old whose total inflation adjusted earnings over her 35 highest earning years was $3.5 million would have an AIME of $8,333.33. To get that, you'd take the 3.5 million and divide that by 420, the number of months in 35 years. So we'll just take this $8,333 of AIME, pour it into our PIA calculator here. So the first bin point, the first segment of 1,174 of AIME, multiplied by 90% gives her $1,056.60. She completely fills up this next segment as well. So 7,078 minus 1,174 equals 5,904, accounted for in that segment number 2, which multiplied by 32% is only $1,889.28. For her third segment here, we'll take her AIME of $8,333.33 minus 7,078, leaving us with $1,255.33 in this segment. Multiply that by 15%, and we're left with $188.30. Adding those three figures together gives us $3,134.18. Then that number is actually rounded down to the next lowest dime, and that is her PIA. So if this woman were to wait until her full retirement age at 67 in this case, she would be promised a monthly Social Security payment of $3,134.10. Easy, right? It's actually not that bad for government work. Anyway, let's carry this knowledge through to our tips for increasing your Social Security benefits. Number 1, if at all possible, commit to a full 35-year work history. Remember the beginning of the equation that we just ran through? The government is going to take into account your 35 highest earning years. If you only work 30 years, they're going to credit you $0 for those 5 missing years. If you spend 30 years as a high-powered executive and the last 5 delivering flowers, you're still boosting your benefits. But also in the same vein, this means that later, traditionally higher earning years could replace lower earning years. A time when you were out of work or only working part of the year, or just those early years of employment when you were fresh out of college and, well, kind of dumb. I mean, come on, how much did your 22-year-old self really know? At least you weren't as smart as you are today. Remember, the government only starts counting their 35 years after age 21. So if you work from that point on, you'll hit year 35 when you're 56. Now, assuming you're making more than you ever have previously, every extra year you work, you're removing the absolute worst year of earnings from your entire work history and replacing it with one that is higher than ever, or at least probably way better than most of them. All that serves to increase your future bottom line. Number 2, delay the collection of your Social Security benefits. Right now, the designated full retirement age ranges between 66 and 67, depending on the year you were born. This is essentially the benchmark for your benefits calculation. While you can collect as early as 62, doing so would result in a permanent pay cut, reducing your benefits by as much as 30%. That $3,134 per month from our earlier example could drop to less than $2,200. But your benefits don't even peak at your FRA. As you delay beyond that point, up to age 70, your benefit will increase by 8% annually. Think about that. Each year you can afford to delay claiming your Social Security, you're giving yourself a lifetime pay raise of 8%. I've seen people beg their bosses for an annual pay raise much less than that. And all you have to do to get this one is nothing. Now, of course, in the meantime, that means you're not receiving anything from Social Security, and that might not be an option for everyone. But hopefully you're understanding how all this works, so you can make a truly informed decision. That's always the goal here. All right, number 3, let's talk about spousal benefits. This opens up a whole new avenue for maximizing your Social Security. Most people don't know that they can receive up to 50% of their spouse's full retirement benefit. Obviously, this is very helpful in situations where one partner's earnings are much higher than the other's. But this system also extends to ex-spouses, providing the marriage lasted 10 years or more. What if 100% of your benefit is less than 50% of your ex-spouse's benefit? It's a pretty clear decision then, right? As long as you know that it exists. But a lot of people in that situation, unfortunately, don't even realize that's an option. So if you're thinking about divorcing your high-earning husband, maybe at least wait until after your 10th anniversary. I kid, and in poor taste, sorry. Money is, of course, not everything. Number 4, let's quickly move on to survivor benefits. This allows a surviving spouse to choose between their own benefit and 100% of the deceased spouse's benefit. This choice enables you to potentially switch from a lower personal payout to a higher one should your spouse predecease you. You see this a lot when one spouse works and the other stays home to raise the children and take care of the house. Once the working spouse passes, their widow or widower can get access to their benefits, maximizing their personal Social Security income at this very crucial time. In the end, Social Security is a cornerstone of retirement planning. With many clients, we're working to build out several sources of stable lifetime income. For some, we're trying to get that figure as a percentage of what you want in retirement up to 80%, 100%, or 110%. Now, imagine how nice that'd feel. A stable paycheck coming through the door each month that is more than enough to cover the needs and wants for which you're planning. That percentage starts with optimizing your Social Security. And whether your motivation is derived from that comfort you could achieve, or even if it's just about getting as much back as you can, considering the massive chunk the government is pulling out of your paycheck every month. Believe me, I hear that too. Whatever the motivation, these 4 tips are essential for you to get the most out of your Social Security payments. I sincerely hope this helps you as you continue to plan and optimize your financial future. I hope to be able to help you again in the future with some of the many other aspects. Until then, I wish you all the best.